It's a brand new day. It's a brand new start. You better keep up the pace. Never let it fall apart. You only get one chance. You only get one time. Stay close to your loved ones. Say yes to life. It's a brand new day. It's a brand new start. You better keep up the pace. Never let it fall apart. You only get one chance. You only get one time.
Good afternoon, welcome along. That's a little loud. It's the UK Garage Show with Impact. We're in Studio A today, just working at the kinks. Flex FM, we're broadcasting live via Facebook stream as well, so you can listen or watch via that too. Of course, it's the Riddler Records special today. A man like Phonetix, aka the Robbie T, is in the place.
The UK Garage Show with DJ Impact, live on Flex FM.
What's on your mind? What's on your mind? What's on your mind? What's on your mind?
101.4.
And good afternoon, welcome along once again. Like I say, just working out the kinks inside. Can we get a microphone check, please, Rob?
Check, 1, 2.
He's there.
I'm here.
He's here.
I'm here, raring to go.
So welcome to the show, Robbie T, Phonetix. I'm sorry, it's Phonetix, as known as Robbie T.
Indeed. Hey.
And my regulars will know we're doing a Riddler Records special on the show today. Stroke Phonetix Robbie T showcase. That's right, isn't it?
Sounds good to me.
I thought before we get into anything, we should just start at the beginning where Riddler Records started.
Sure.
Way back in 2005 with the first release. Let's just get this one spinning.
Definitely, go for it.
Send it out to everyone locked in right now. UK Go Show with Impact. We are live all the way till 4. Massive shouts going out to Daryl Ridds, out to the Benny Boy as well, got it locked on. How you going, guys? And Benny's watching via Facebook Live right now. Give him a wave.
Yo, Benny.
Usual contact details apply. Of course, you can hit me up direct at ImpactUKG on the Twitter. Or you can hit Robbie up or Phonetix. I've got to stop calling you Robbie, man.
Mate, it's been, 12, 13 years since I produced a track as Robbie T, and I still get Robbie. It's all good, it's all good. You call me whatever you like. It's you, Impact.
Phonetix. When I say Robbie T, people, I mean Phonetix. Phonetix is with me in the building today. So we're going to do a bit of a Riddler Records special showcase, as I mentioned there. It started back in 2005 with this was on the first EP, on the first release.
Indeed.
Now back then, you were just one of the artists of many on the label.
That's right, yeah.
Alongside what? Duncan Powell?
Oh, God, Duncan Powell, Control S, we had Pale Face Pass Through, Charlie Says, Des Jones, who later went on to be Huxley. He's done quite well for himself there.
Yeah.
And of course, Arcane and Domino being the kind of founding father of it all. So
Domino was the original, the person who founded Riddler Records.
For sure. Domino was the man with a vision. And I don't feel like it was really sort of fully appreciated at the time, the vision that he had, because obviously he had the Riddler Records he had the logo in mind. He had the colours for all the EPs.
Yeah.
He had it all mapped out before he even set off. And then on top of that, he was able to go through and pick out a set of artists that just, in terms of talent, phenomenal. Do you know what I mean? If you actually look at the technical abilities of them and what a lot of the guys went on to, do you know what I mean? Control S are still doing big things. Duncan, he was massive. Like one of the most prolific people around.
And then he got into cars, didn't he?
And then he got into cars. And where are you, Duncan? Come on, give me a shout.
We need some Duncan. I know you've brought some special little bits. I know there's a Duncan tune amongst them.
It's fire.
Now there was a list of. There were some unreleased EPs on Riddler, but these are not even. They were released.
They were.
These are actually not released. Like actually unreleased.
These have been sitting on my hard drive for a few years now. Haven't come out for one reason or another, but all of them are more than deserving of a release. I think you would agree. Do you know what I mean? There's some fire in there.
We're definitely going to spin a couple of them today. So as you mentioned, Domino started the label. He was the founder. So we decided we've got to play one of his
I
from
think
the label.
that's fair, isn't it? Yeah,
So
big props to Dom.
Yeah, let's roll in with the next one. Track entitled Reach Out. And this was actually taken from the Baseline Projects EP, which I did get, but I'm going to ask you, that was a bit of a random kind of
that
project, wasn't it?
It was a collaborative effort between Garage Jams, Heat Seeker, Spoilt Rotten, and Riddler.
That's right.
It was a big release because you had, do you know what I mean? Like the Wide Boys, Riplash and Sus, Agent X, Delinquent, Arcane and Domino.
Yeah.
They were all kind of leading forces in Baseline. So for a lot of them to come together for one release was massive.
So I remember it was on that massive 4 vinyl release in a big chunk. It was a weighty.
Each label had a side to itself, didn't it? So they had 2 tracks each. Yeah.
Let's get into this one for a minute. It reminds me of that era as well.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that era.
Yeah, there was so many big tracks. I mean, it was kind of, Baseline went down a kind of grimy route. This was kind of just before that, where there was a bit more musicality to it, do you know what I mean, and a bit more individuality.
Because a few years later, there was that niche thing.
Yeah.
That was more of a northern thing, and I think a lot of the artists they were trying to kind of get involved with that sound as well, or complement that sound to kind of bring it together. That was a little later, but the beats started getting faster, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, it ended up being about 145 beats a minute at times. You know what I mean? It was pretty hectic. I mean, the way I saw it was a lot of the grime boys kind of jumped ship when there was that lull in grime. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It disappeared, and you had people like Mr. V, obviously Virgo, kind of jumped across, and they brought across a different sound, and for better or for worse, depending on how you view it. Completely changed the face of Baseline. It kind of went from this kind of more musical, solid kind of production to a kind of rawer vibe. They kind of took that from grime with them. So I think, there was, as you say, this was what, 2007? Something like that? 2006, 2007?
This one was 2006, believe it or not.
2006.
But Riddler, for me, always kind of represent that because you had your kind of vocal two-steppers.
That's right.
And then you had ones like this with the hard 4/4.
Yeah.
underneath it. You had a mixed bag on each release,
That's
generally
right.
speaking.
That was part of the game plan from the get-go. Do you know what I mean? There was something to cover. I remember Dom specifically saying that it was like you've got to hit all corners of the market because garage is such a diverse umbrella that it's no good kind of just pigeonholing yourself. Do you know what I mean? If you just have a two-step track, then you've just got the lot that are into two-step that are going to be interested. Whereas if you've got two-step 4/4, the baseline stuff, something a bit eclectic on the side of it, you grab the attention of a wide audience, and I feel that's what Riddler did really from the get-go.
Oh yeah, it ticked all the boxes. It kept everyone happy, and you know, a lot of it was boots. We were saying upstairs, we wonder how long this stream is going to last on Facebook Live.
I've got the stream going on my phone actually.
You got it on the phone?
I'm keeping an eye on it.
Fingers are crossed, you know, touch wood and all that. Okay, so the next one, we go back to 2006 again with Riddler 7, and these guys, they're good friends to the program as well, Control S, Martin and Lee.
Nice.
Their first release was on Riddler. This isn't their first release. I might play it a little bit later in the show. But this one is the Neo remix.
Nice.
I thought we got to feature them today. And again,
absolutely, yeah.
This shows the diversity of Riddler Records because it was vocal, and then on the, you know,
to go from Reach Out to this, it's almost unrecognisable, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? In terms of trying to pigeonhole and kind of specify a genre, but because it was all about.
There was a lot of cases where maybe Control S would do like a two-step mix, and then maybe yourself, you would do like a 4/4 mix of the same tune.
Absolutely, kind of thing. It was trying to. Part of being topical and being relevant was picking out these current vocals, and at the time, obviously, this was big in the R&B scene, and it was kind of bubbling. It was going to be a crossover chart success. It made sense to kind of do a couple of mixes of it and get them out there.
Neo, and this one is So Sick.
Featuring myself on the guitar.
Oh, you're on the guitar.
Indeed,
on this?
yeah. Not many people know that, but there's a
it's
little
not.
bit.
It's not on the ID3
it's not
here,
the
mate.
Credits,
I don't believe you. You're not credited.
Answering machine. Now that I'm alone, cause right now it says that we can't come to the phone. And I know it makes no sense, cause you walked out the door, but it's the only way I hear your voice anymore. It's ridiculous. It's been months, for some reason I just can't get over it. And I'm stronger than this, enough is enough. No more walking around with my head down. I'm so over being blue, crying over you. And I'm so sick of the song, so tired of tears, so done with wishing you could still hear. Said I'm so sick of the song, so tired slow. So why can't I turn off the radio? So sick of the so sick of the song. So sick of you. Gotta fix that calendar I had. Let's mark July 15th, because since there's no more you, there's no more anniversary. I'm so fed up with my thoughts of you and your memory, and now every song reminds me of what used to be. It's ridiculous. It's been months, for some reason I just can't get over it. And I'm stronger than this, enough is enough. No more walking around with my head down. I'm so over being blue, crying over you. And I'm so sick of the song, so tired of tears, so done with wishing you could still hear. Said I'm so sick of.
Got to send it out to everyone locked in, locked on today. Big shouts going out to Carl Sniper, out to little Ellie Sniper as well. Also got to send it out to Bruno, who's just decided to call off work because it's raining. Good to see you on the way here, mate. He's off to McDonald's. Lucky him.
Nice. I might join him there after.
I'll tell you what, I want to try they're doing the Big Tasty, but with chicken now.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
I like the Big Tasty,
yeah,
but Big Tasty chicken.
Seems worth a go. Yeah.
It's on my list of things to do, and also on my list of things to do is go to KFC and try their new chips, because they've changed the chips again.
They changed the chips again?
Again, yeah.
What's going on? Well, I don't know about you. I've got a free hour after this. We can go on a little UK garage food roadshow.
Why
we'll
not?
Take the tunes with us.
We can film it and say, right, yeah, this is up to standard. So we were just talking while this one was playing about some of the old stuff, and Rob said, one tune we got to play, and I forgot to tell you, Duncan Powell, Let You Know. And I said, Rob, it is on the playlist. I already selected that one. That tune, Rob, like you were saying, you said to me, it didn't get the kind of attention it deserved.
I didn't feel it did. I felt like a lot of stuff that Duncan did get the props it deserved, but for some reason this one sort of almost flew under the radar. I don't know if it was because of the other tracks that were on the EP. Maybe it got overlooked.
I'm not sure. I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's funny you should say it because I didn't discover that. I had the vinyl. It was on Riddler VIP Volume 1.
I think it was.
I've got it here somewhere. But yeah, it was on one of the VIPs. I think it was the black one, number 1. And I bought that and I never knew it was on there.
Yeah.
And then later down the line when Duncan did like some of it, he did a few like kind of back cat where he put them all in a folder and just threw them out there on Bandcamp.
Yes, he did, didn't he? Yeah.
It was amongst them and I discovered it and I was like, wow, this is one of Duncan's finest.
Yeah.
Surely.
It's got a vibe to it. It just rolls, doesn't it?
Absolutely brilliant. And then I discovered I had it all along. I had it. It was on.
We've all been there, mate. I've done it.
I think we should just play it because it is a brilliant track. Start to finish, it's 4 for heaven.
It's pure Duncan, isn't it? Nobody else could have done this. Yeah.
Brilliant. And for some of the hermits out there, or those of you that don't know, there was an artist on Riddler Records that went by the name of Dragon as well, which was basically Duncan Powell. What was it, more his booty alias? Was that the...
Yeah, he tended to use it for the boots. Yeah.
So when we say Dragon, we mean Duncan Powell. Might be to some of them in the show today. It's just approaching 2:30 right now. It's Flex FM, it's Impact and Phonetix.
Yes.
AKA the Robbie T, and we're presenting to you the Riddler Records special. We're just kind of doing the past at the moment, but we're going to move into the present and then the future.
Yes.
Keep it locked, Flex FM. Here we go. Absolutely brilliant. I've got to send a massive shout out to our Switzerland gang, our Switzerland connection got it locked in. Out to DJ Padlove. Also a massive shout out to Hazy, got it locked in. Good to have your ear, brother. Hope you're well. Shouts going out to DJ Intro. Big up you, mate. So many. Out to D over there in South Africa. Out to you and your brother Jose. All is well over there. Shot, bro. do you know your South African lingo?
Not really. No, I know bits, little bits.
Shot, brew. That's all you got to say. And it's all good. This is so good. So, like you were saying, off air, or while we had the mics set up there, I obviously overlooked this one because I was buying all the Riddler stuff for your releases.
For Robbie T, of course.
Of course,
Standard,
yeah. No, you're exactly right. So let's talk about Robbie T, or Phonetix as he's now known in this day and age.
Let's do it.
You telling me last night you started off before garage and all that, you started making hip hop.
I did, yeah. It's a weird one because I was listening to garage at the time. I remember one of the lads I went to school with bringing in a mixtape on the bus. I remember that was the first time I heard garage. It must have been like 13, 14, something like that. I think it was one of the Armand Van Helden productions. It was probably like Spin Spin Sugar or something that kind of grabbed my attention. So garage kind of had my ear at that time. But like when I started making beats, it was purely because of Dr. Dre. It was because of what he was doing. I'd followed his career and like I was just like, I want to do that. I can do that. Do you know what I mean? And I'd kind of grown up being musical. I'd played guitar and piano and that. So I was just like, right, let's get into this production. I had a teacher at school when I was doing GCSE music who kind of pushed me in that direction. He showed me Cubase. I would have been like 14 at the time. And I remember going away thinking, I can do something with this. I went out and I got a Roland MC505.
Okay.
It's like a synthesizer and sequencer all in one kind of unit. And I think there probably was part of me that wanted to make garage, but the sounds on that module weren't really, they weren't the Proteus sounds. They were very much of their era and were better suited to hip hop. So that was kind of the route I went down. I ended up kind of picking up a sampler, and then it kind of progressed from there. I went off to uni to study music production, and I was living in Hatfield at the time. And there was kind of garage. I mean, this would have been 2002, 2003. So it was as garage was kind of tailing off a little bit and falling out of the limelight, and grime was coming to the forefront. And around there, everything was grime. Like all the club nights, every student night I went to was. Do you know what I mean? It was all the grime boys, and so I ended up kind of. I wouldn't say I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling it the way I did garage, but I ended up kind of just as a natural progression because that was what I was surrounded with. I was making a lot of grime at the time. And it was only really as I was finishing up at uni, I think Cameo had a compilation come out.
Okay, yeah,
I can't remember. Was it Garage Anthems 2005 or so? It was something really cliche sounding like that.
I used to see him every week in Uptown Records at one point. I didn't even know who he was.
He was a good lad. He was
sweet,
a big supporter of Riddler, so I got a lot of time for Cam. But he put out this compilation, and it had. I'll tell you what it was. It was the delinquent bits on it that really gripped my attention. It was playing around. And I think Like a Feather was probably on there as well. Yeah,
because you had, what was it, Spoilt Rotten, the early delinquent stuff.
Yeah.
And you had Spoilt Rotten, there was the Ghetto Queen.
That's right.
Like a Feather.
Yeah.
And there was Circles as well. I think you've done a mix of Circles, did you?
I did do a mix of Circles,
He's great, why you grinning?
No, because that was another one. I was just going to say good knowledge, because that was another one that kind of just fell by the wayside, much like Let You Know did. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people kind of gave that the credit that I felt it deserved. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's...
It was an unreleased one, wasn't it?
It was.
So you're doing hip-hop, you're into hip-hop, you're doing grime. But all the time you were kind of DJing garage because it was also...
Yeah. I had my decks, obviously, and I had all like my classic garage, and that always had a place in my heart. Do you know what I mean? There's something about garage that gripped me from the start. Like I think I touched on the fact earlier that it's such a diverse umbrella. There's no other genre that you can kind of go to a club night and hear such a wide range of sounds. Do you know what I mean? Some of the stuff barely sounds like it would fit under the same niche, but garage was just a big bubbling melting pot of creativity, and there was no rule set. That was what made it what it was. Do you know what I mean? And that was what attracted me, and I think that was probably what attracted a lot of people to it.
I think especially the era you're kind of talking about, if you were playing out, there'd be certain tracks, go-to tracks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you would have to have some garage in your bag just to keep everyone happy, because it was so dominant back then.
Absolutely, yeah.
But obviously you're doing your grime and your hip-hop. So then you get to around 2004, I'm guessing. Yeah. And you think, do you know what? I might make some UKG or 4/4, whatever.
I heard Playing Around by Delinquent, and then I shortly after heard Like a Feather, and I went home that night. And I just got on the Pirates, and I was looking because I to be honest, I didn't even realise people were still making that stuff. I was so far removed from it that I was just like, oh, it's dead, it's gone.
Yeah.
And I went home that night, and I was just like, oh, there must be more of this stuff. So started browsing the pirate airwaves, and I can't even remember what station it was. Bearing in mind I'm living over Watford.
Flex FM, I
think. Of course, it was Flex. It was Flex. I ended up chancing upon, I think it was the Scandalous Unlimited show.
Oh, right.
And they were repping. They were playing some big tracks, and just from there I was just like, I can do this. Yeah. I can make this stuff. I love this stuff. My heart's in this, and just kind of got straight to work on garage again.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? It was
So what we're going to play next is, I'm not sure if there's one, do explain it to me. This is the Ode to Otis track, which you've
Yes.
entitled it. But this mix, I've been playing it on the show recently. You've done like
Yeah.
kind of an up-to-date version, but this is kind of the closest to the original mix,
Yeah,
or very close to it.
the original sounds like this, but a lot less tough. Is probably how I describe it.
Okay.
It was more kind of Todd Edwards sounding and a bit thin. And it was the first track of mine, but I kind of had the guts to send out to a DJ.
And the DJ was...
And the DJ was EZ on Kiss.
And what happened?
And he played it. He repped it, and I couldn't believe it. I was absolutely shocked because to me it was just something I kind of whipped up, and I thought, that sounds like the kind of thing you play. It was a bit of a chance. Thought I'd throw it out there, see what happens. Span it on the show. Give me a big up. Gave me props.
This is kind of close as we'll get to the original version, because
I might share the original version with you, Mr. Impact, because you've been very kind and supporting this version. But I think, like, you know, the comparison between the two, essentially, I know what I'm doing now, whereas back then I was still learning, and this on a club system is going to sound quite heavy.
Let's get it spinning. First thing I said to you when you sent me the kind of newer version, it sounds like Robbie T. It sounds like
that.
it sounds like Phonetix is kind of a little more matured, or
Yeah, I hear you.
this sounds like original Robbie T.
Yeah.
So this is the original mix of Ode to Otis. And if you know, you know, I suppose, on that title.
You know, indeed. Just wait for the artwork.
So we've got some shouts to do.
It's been a while since I did this. It's been about 7 years since I've been on radio. Big shout out to Ben Insold, Daryl Rids. Massive shout out to Craig V, man like Craig V.
Out to Craig.
Where's the banter, Craig? Come on, I want to see some text coming or something.
He start writing stuff about his cats.
Oh, mate, I'm all up for it. He always creases me. And a massive shout out to Robbie Glover as well, who I've collaborated with over the years.
That's Robbie. So you're monitoring the Facebook stream.
I'm indeed.
And I'm monitoring my Twitter stream right now. So if you want to send us a message via either, please do get involved. Let us know you are locked on. And we've got one from here. Let me just click the mouse. Who's this? Oh, it's Kanga. Add to Kanga. Got it locked
Kanga.
in.
Big up Kanga. Do you know what? I was going to give him a shout literally last night. I'm going to shout Kanga later.
He says he sold because he used to work in the record shop up North London.
He did.
The name escapes me right now.
This is going to bother me.
What was the name?
Was it UDM?
Yeah.
It was UDM, right?
Was it UDM? Oh, that Kanga. Was it UDM?
Yeah, confirm that for us. I even walked in there. I can't remember what it was called. I remember going there.
I went in there once or twice. It was a bit out of my way, but... At to Ray, got it locked in, loving the tunes right now. Okay, so why Kanga's getting back to us on that? He says he sold many a record up there in the record shop back then. So thank you, Kanga.
Thank you, Kanga. Yeah, big up.
And we're talking about tracks that kind of went a bit under the radar. The next one is my selection, and it's by an artist I never heard him do anything ever again under any other alias. So maybe you could shed some light on it. I'll get it playing. This is by an artist called, was it Mark Aaron?
Yeah, Mark Aaron.
Mark Aaron, yeah. Pull up that, it's called.
You may know Mark Aaron as Marcus Jakes.
No.
He's made big moves in house. Okay. He kind of jumped on the Jack in House thing. He was Richie V's nephew. I think that was how I met Mark.
This was the only piece of work
It's
I've ever heard.
absolutely banging. And at the time, I remember going to Niche with Dom, and he dropped this, and it just went off.
It's one of them I've not heard many DJs play. Again, slips under the radar.
This never got the props it deserved, but you know, big up Mark because he's a top fella and he's a wicked producer.
What a banger! Let's give it a minute or so. So much energy.
Yeah.
Selector, reload! Pull up that! They don't know. They don't know. Yo, selector. Yo, selector. They don't know. They don't know. Yo, selector. Selector.
Yeah, I think we'll leave that off air. That.
Probably for the best. Can I take a minute to just do a shout out to my
of course, man.
My 5-year-old daughter has apparently got a stank face onto that one. She's loving it.
Oh, she likes that
She
one?
likes that one.
That's to Elisa. All right, so we want to talk more about you. Now, one tune, good friends of the programme, Para, he said, you've got to play that one today, Impact. And I know he told you.
I know what this is going to be.
Yeah, you know what it's going to be. And I know a lot of your earlier stuff was Boots. Obviously, you had Zed playing your tune was a big kind of inspiration for sure. You're not all Boots, don't get me wrong, but we're going to do some of the Boots in the first hour, and then we're going to move into more of the more original production. Let's get into the next one.
Hey.
And do you know what you've done to this? I mean, I'm sure it's a little bit more than what I'm going to say. All you've done is add in an extra kick drum, really.
Pretty much, yeah. It was a bit of a cut and paste job. It was, I'm not going to lie. And I don't know, I was a massive fan of the original. And at the time...
Likewise.
At the time, that original wasn't going to fit into any garage set that you played because almost everything was bumpy 4/4, wasn't it, at the time? Do you know what I mean?
At this time, 2006-7, like we were saying earlier, there was that hard 4/4 was in demand, you know?
Absolutely.
That was the thing.
So I was thinking to myself, how can I get that track into a set? And this is what I come up with. And ironically, like for such a cut and paste job, it was probably one of the most played things still to this day that I ever made.
One of them. There's more to get through, don't you worry.
Glad to hear it.
Of course, the original's Dem 2, a US Alliance tune, All I Know. Oh, you added a little bit of bass as well, to be fair.
Got to be done.
But this never came out on vinyl, did it?
No. Yeah, it caused a bit of controversy.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say about it.
We'll leave it there.
Well, yeah, probably best.
Banger though. shouts going out to Patty B, got it locked in with the fire emojis. You can't see over there, but that's the WhatsApp over there in the corner.
Fire.
Fire! And to you, mate. Got to send it out to Ray as well. Just saying, banging, boys. Nice one, Ray. And we were right. UDM was the store.
It was UDM, yeah.
It was UDM. Thank you, Kanga, for getting back to us on that. We're getting old, aren't we? We keep forgetting things.
Mate, it was, to be fair, it was a long time ago. I'm trying to think, the last time I saw Kanga actually was probably a decade ago.
I always bump into him at random raves.
He gets out and about there.
How's it going, mate? Yeah, sweet as a nut, you know. But he listens to me on a Saturday. I hope you're good, Kanga, anyway. Always good to hear from you.
Top
also
fella.
got to send it out to Man Like Dan on the Twitter there.
Man Like Dan, legend.
Out to Man Like Dan, big up you, mate. Got to send it out to Ram Pam as well. Got it locked in. Out to little Ellie Cole on the favourite. Oh, God.
I don't like the sound of that. Maybe leave that one out.
Craig V has sent me a message. What's it say?
Go on, let's have it.
One cat. I don't know whether I should read this. One cat locked. My other cat has gone off upstairs.
Big up Jasper.
No offence to yourself.
Big up Jasper and Theo.
You know their names.
I know the cats' names, yeah.
Oh dear. All right, next one. Selected by you. This is another one from Control S.
Do you know what? They're going to hate me for saying it. I know they're going to hate. I'm sorry, I apologise because I think Lee was listening to that. I don't know if Martin is. This is still my favourite Control S track. In spite of all of the originals, all the official mixes and everything they've done since, and the fact that technically their productions was he come on.
Yeah.
For me, the vibes on this one, like they just absolutely nailed it.
Let's have a listen to it. It's the remix of Mario. How Could You?
who said they love me. You're the only one that made it right. Cause I'm just a man, you know exactly what I need. Can't believe that you say what? You wasn't down for me. Love made me blind, baby. But now I see you opened up your sleeve. Hold me in line. I ain't even heard it from your family. How could you let somebody lay where I laid? How could you give them everything? How could you call them all the names that you used to call me? How could you just forget about me? So many of the things I taught you. How could you put them on? I'm so dry. How could you put me in the bed and give him a full seat? How could you just forget about me? You must be out your mind. You got a lot of nerve. Think that I'm gon' chill after all the shit I heard. I damn near carried you. I could have married you. Good thing I found a fuck. Brought that 7 carat for you. I know you're sick. Listen, the way I found you out. I hope he's got a romantic style, baby. You got to go. Damn, I can't believe that you did this to me. How could you give? Said everything we made, shawty. How could you come? Connected to yourself. How could you just forget? Said how could you teach it? All the things I told you, baby. So dry. I can't believe it. And no, I won't believe it. About me, Girl, I tried to give you everything. Can't believe the ways you repaid me. Girl, you had it all, but I guess my all wasn't good enough for you. Baby, I've accepted it, and I ain't gon' trip. Girl, I'm moving on. Sometimes I can't help but think that another man's gonna get the one that's made for me. Said everything we
going out to Robbie Glover on the tweet there. Out to you, matey. Enjoying the show. It's Riddler Records special. We're going to move into the newer era. This is more the original vinyl era, and then we're going to move into the digital Riddler.
Digital era, yeah, 2013 onwards.
Yeah, it's good to see you wore your T-shirt today as well.
Had to be done, mate.
It had to be done.
Do you know what? And I'm just going to be really Larry and give a cheeky plug now, if that's all right with you.
You go for it, mate.
Shameless plug here. But if you want to get your hands on a Riddler T-shirt, head on over to riddlerrecords.com now. There's a link there to a store where you can buy all manner of Riddler merchandise. Clocks, mugs, hoodies, baby grows, towels, pillows. You can get yourself a bed set. I know. I can tell. Right, I can tell the look on Impact's face. He's well up for this. He's going to be on there in a minute having a look.
I'm gonna be right out of order right now. Do you do the original Riddler ones though?
Do you know what? I should have anticipated that. Do you know what? It's all at the moment. I can do. Do you know what? If there's demand for that, I've got obviously at the moment all of the current branding with the new logo, which I am sporting. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up on my shirt there. But I was thinking of doing some.
I think it's this one.
Yeah, look. Don't know if you see that at all. I will. Yeah, I was thinking of doing like a retro vibe one. So get it cracking out the old green, like the Riddler one, basically the green, the original Riddler.
That's the one I had.
So I might do that. Get some green T-shirts, mate. Well, much like this, but with the retro.
Well, the one I had, I got it from Uptown. And
the T-shirt,
and it fell apart.
The
white come off, and eventually I threw it in the bin or whatever.
Of course, the new ones are far higher grade quality, and that won't happen.
2018 grade.
Indeed.
Have you ever seen there's a scaffold company? I've always wondered if you've ever been aware of this. There's a scaffold company. And I'm wondering, it's based in kind of Woolwich area.
Okay.
I think it's called Riddler Scaffolds. And they have the same logo.
No way.
No, more or less the same question mark.
Right.
And I've always wondered, did you rip them off or did they rip you off?
Do you know what? I'm actually, my mind's gone elsewhere, and I'm thinking maybe I should contact them and see about doing some kind of joint venture.
I think it's
fingers in pies, man.
Yeah, Riddler Scaffold, and it's got the question mark and all that.
No idea of that. I mean, they must have ripped us off. I mean, obviously, you only got to listen to the sounds to hear we're trendsetting.
Yeah, of course. They must have really liked the label. Or I thought maybe it was Domino, and he just went off. No, I'm going to do scaffolding now.
It's not unless Domino's got a secret life I don't know about.
All right, we're going to play another one from Dragon, aka the Duncan Powell. This is one that you forgot completely about. But this is the Gusto Disco's Revenge remix.
That's right.
Which came out, and I think it was about volume 7. I can't remember. Let me just double check. Oh, who knows?
Do you know what? I think if memory serves rightly, there was 2 versions of this around at the time, wasn't there? I think somebody else had done one, and I think Duncan heard it and just went, "That's a load of rubbish. I can do better than that." I think that was basically how this track came about, and then he did this and blew it out of the water.
It was a bit like Wookie did with Zinc, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that story?
Yeah, he was not a fan of 138 Treks who did Storm, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like, "That's not how you do it."
Yeah, and funnily enough, I think if you played the 2 side by side, Storm probably is the one that would go off bigger.
It's a serious rhythm that. So Duncan did a Wookie on this, and this is the Gusto's Revenge remix. Came out on Riddler Volume 4. That was the yellow one. I'm sure it was. It was, trust me.
All right, you know better than me.
Flex FM is the UK Garage Show. If you just locked in, thanks for joining me. It's fast approaching 3 o'clock. You know what that means. Release the Pressures track of the week. It's coming shortly. So send it out to everyone locked in, locked on. We got the Phonetix live with me today. We're talking past, present, future, and it's a bit of a Riddler thing. It's a Riddler thing. Very good afternoon. Shouts to Ellie Cole today. Big shouts going out to Milky. How you doing, Milky? Reaching out to Terra as well. Gonna send it out to Brooke on her 8th birthday today. Happy birthday, Brooke.
Have a good one, Brooke.
Is your dad making you listen to this? Poor Brooke.
At the kids' party. Obviously, they don't need a DJ then, do they?
He's treating her. He's teaching her right. Out to Terra.
Got to start them young.
Yeah, that's it.
Got to do a big shout out to Rich Hickson as well, long time Riddler supporter.
Out to Rich Hickson. Good to have your ear.
The UK Garage Show with DJ Impact, live on Flex FM.
Out to Ellie Cole on her way to Staines today.
Yes, she's going to my ends.
Oh, yeah, you live in
Mate,
Staines?
Ellie, you should have shouted me. Like we've obviously crossed paths there. Do you know what I mean? I've driven here, she's driven there.
Yeah.
There you go. Small world.
Could have got a free ride.
Indeed, yeah. Could have shared an Uber.
Big up the Steens massive, innit?
West Side.
Oh, we're showing her age now.
Yeah, do you know what? It's really funny. I was just listening to that track, and before it started, you said you referred to Duncan having done a Wookiee, and there's samples from Battle by Wookiee in that.
No, there isn't.
Let's not tell Wookiee that though.
Oh no. So it's exactly 3 o'clock. It's time to release the pressure. You're a regular listener to the show. You know what release the
I
pressure
always
is
look
all
forward
about.
to these, man.
Usually it goes quite far back into the mid-90s. As you know, Release the Pressure, he's a garage vinyl guru, and he has these rare bit. And as I've said many times, a lot of them I don't even know.
Is he a mod on Discogs? Because if he's not, I reckon he should be, because he's obviously got that deep set knowledge, isn't he?
He's on Discogs.
He's on Discogs.
I think he spends a considerable amount of time on Discogs, to be fair. So anyway, he kind of beat me to it on this. I'm just going to play it.
Mate.
I knew he would go for this.
Top man, good selection.
Hold tight, Carlos.
Me and Mrs. Jones, we got a thing going on. We both know that it's wrong, but it's much too wrong to let it go now. Holding hands, making all kinds of plans, while the jukebox plays my favorite song. Me and Mrs. Jones.
Flex FM
101.4. Oh, mate, so many memories on this.
Yes, mate.
And I'm going to go all soppy here, but this tune personally is one of my all-time favourites for so many reasons. My missus, she says this just reminds me of you when we met on radio.
Really?
Yeah, because I used to play it on radio every week.
That's big.
Big up with my fresh crew. And as you were saying, and I said, just wait. Andy even said himself, he said he remembers doing a bar or something and clearing the dance floor with his tune. And me on the same tip. I remember doing a Garage Nation down in, I think it was Dover or Folkestone, one or the other. And I was first on, I was after Jason Kay, I think it was. And I started the set with this. And I remember that whole arena. It was like Everyone was looking at me like, WTF. And anyway, it went on. And I swear, like, someone's called security. The bouncers were like, right, we're going to kick him out. And then it kicked in. And it erupted.
Yeah.
It absolutely erupted, I'm happy to say.
I'm glad you said that as well. If that story hadn't had a happy ending, it would have been very depressing.
Oh, it was, and everyone went mad. We did the rewind, But it was mad because no one had heard. I don't think anyone had the balls to play it back then. I don't know.
I think. I later did a Beats intro mix, which was more kind of dancefloor friendly, wasn't it? But at the time, it was kind of a bit late, wasn't it? The novelty factor was kind of what made it, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? The fact that it kind of starts off with the original and then kind of has such a sort of a switch up that you'd never see coming. I think that was kind of what made it. It's definitely one of those Marmite tracks, though.
Yeah, this is what you were saying.
Do you know what? I'll level with you now. This track took me about 35 minutes to make. From start to finish.
Get out.
It was, and I don't say that to brag. It was kind of like, it was almost made for a laugh. Like somebody said to me, like, "Oh, you could never make a garage shack out of that." And I went, "I want to bet." Did it? And I remember playing it to Ed Selector. I don't know if you remember Ed.
Yeah,
Selector
no,
at the
Ed.
time,
Yeah,
but actually, I remember playing it to him at the time, and I was just like, "Yeah, I don't know whether I need to do any more." And he was just like, "No, leave it at that. That is good as it is." And I sent it to Dom. Rest is history. He was just like, "Yeah, we're pressing that. That's, do you know what I mean?" And ironically, like, it's probably the track that most people know me for, I would say.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yet, in terms of sales, Riddler 9 bombed.
Well, this is what interests me, because when we were talking in the week or the other week, you said it was the worst selling.
Yeah,
one of the worst ones. Or is that
no?
Still stand kind of thing.
One of the worst ones. Yeah.
A Marmite tune, like you say.
Yeah. It had this on it. It had, from memory, it had the Australian Garage Mafia version of Crazy by Niles Barkley.
Yeah.
It had Hard Love on it. Do you know what? That was
Hard
me.
Love.
That was me as well. 2 of my tracks on it, and it bombed. I don't know what that says.
Maybe. Do you know what? I've got it in the bag, so to speak.
What, Hard Love?
Yeah, maybe we'll try and play it later, because that was another kind of sleeping bullet.
It was. I think. Do you know what? There was, and it wasn't only Riddler. It was Prolific. It was Stereo Hype. It was Streets. All of the labels around that time noticed a very sudden drop off in sales. We went from doing 800 units with ease in a matter of weeks to all of a sudden struggling to shift a couple of hundred. Yeah, and I remember, I think one of the last releases that Charmer put out. Kind of around a similar time to this, a bit later on. The numbers were... He had big hopes for it. And I remember him just saying, like, after this, there isn't really much that we can do, do you know what I mean? Because you've got to recoup your costs. And we kind of reached a point by this time where it was you weren't even starting to break even. You got to draw a line somewhere.
And it was also that time where vinyl...
People stopped buying it.
That is literally when it started fading out, because why? I can just get it on an MP3 and share it over. What was the thing, the messenger thing back then?
MSN.
Was it Hotmail Messenger?
It was MSN, and it was later Windows Live. I think it was. Yeah,
that was it.
And do you know what? I don't begrudge people for having done that at all. I would even send out a shout out to those people that did that, because although it wasn't putting money our way, it was, basically everything I've ever done has been about spreading a vibe. Money comes second to that.
Yeah.
And although we kind of, the records died out, the sales were really bad, the people sharing the music, that was what kept it alive. Whether you like it or not, piracy on the internet is just a thing, isn't it?
The one thing I will say is a blessing and a curse. Now, it's great, you get your music out there real fast, but the only problem with that is finished real fast as well. Everyone's consumed it within...
Do you want to hear an interesting statistic? I don't know whether I said this on the phone to you the other day. Right, Spotify, there are 20,000 tracks added to Spotify every day.
20,000.
So it's never been easier to get your music out there, but it's never been more difficult to get your music heard, because how do you stand out amongst 20,000 tracks? You've got to have a niche, you've got to have a forward-thinking plan. That's what I'm trying to do at the minute.
You've really got to wear that orange hat with the green bill.
Yeah.
I've got to just say as well, the governor, the big man, God, he did give it a little nod through the window there when
Top man.
Mrs. Jones was playing. So
he knows his stuff.
You get one of these, mate. He gave it the nod. All right, I'm going to move into something now that I think you've thought I've forgotten. But there was actually, between Riddler and the digital Riddler, there was an era where you put out a little album.
There was.
You didn't think I remember that, did you?
I didn't think you would mention that. No, there was, yeah.
Let's play one. And I wanted to touch on this because Riddler was more bootlegs. this vinyl and voicemail release was more original productions.
It was.
Or official
yeah,
remixes.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff on there that I kind of felt should have come out, but never, got by A&R for one reason or another. And I was just like, right, let's get something together. Obviously, I've done remixes over the years, but I've always written as well. Do you know what I mean? First and foremost, I consider myself a writer. I think the difficulty with music and the industry as it is that if you do a bootleg, if you do like something like Mrs. Jones, instantly that has traction because people are familiar with the original. So it's a million times easier to get that out there than it is if you come with something like this, for instance, which, I always rate it myself. I think it's one of the better things I did. It's gritty, it's got a heavy amount of bass. But unless you're into that kind of thing, you'd very easily gloss over it. Do you know what I mean? So I think the bootlegs have their place, so does the original stuff, and I think the album was kind of bridging the gap between that. It was me going, do you know what? 20
tracks easily on there?
Yeah, I think it
roughly.
Was. Yeah, thereabouts. It was kind of my way of saying, look, you all know me for remixes, but I'm capable of original stuff too, and here's some of it.
Well, this is the vinyl, taken from the vinyl and voicemail album. It's entitled Raw, and it is exactly that. Let's play for a minute. Switch into that one real quick. I think we should. Just literally for the thing at the start.
Yeah, go for it. Because the voicemail's got to be done, hasn't it?
So, as you say, this was a lot of original productions, but it was also, some of the tracks were taken from the Hairy Cuts EP, weren't it?
They were, yeah.
The Wolverine. I never got any of them myself.
You never got... Oh, mate, that's
Hairy
blasphemy.
Cuts.
You're going to say that to my face. You never got any of those?
No.
I'm going to have to hook you up. No, do you know what? I should take the opportunity to send a massive shout out to Mr. Brains.
Yeah, big up Brains.
He was, in large part... he prompted me to do this album, Vinyl and Voicemails. I was at a point with music where I was feeling quite frustrated with it. I think the sales had sloped off. Dom actually had kind of emigrated at this point. Riddler had kind of gone quiet. Charmer had kind of left as well. Basically, Dom and Charmer went, and all of the vinyl releases just stopped. And they're kind of, it almost felt, to me at least, like the garage scene ceased to be. Do you know what I mean? You kind of had this Uptown Records forum crew, and we all used to meet up at raves, and everyone used to buy the vinyls, and then that just overnight went. And I kind of was going, oh, what am I going to do? And I've known Brains for a long while, and he called me up one day and he was just like, "You've got too many tunes sitting there to just let them go to waste. You've got to do something with them, man." And
sort it out, Rob.
Bless him. He bought a web domain for me. He built a website. So that website for vinyl and voicemails, that was all Brains. He did all of that. He was just, all I basically had to do was mix down the album, master it, and upload it, and Brains did the rest, and it wouldn't have happened without him. So massive props to him.
Big up Brains each and every time. I think he's I can't say that, but big up Brains each and every time.
He better be locked. He's getting a text from me later.
I'm not sure if
he
is. I know he does his thing on a Saturday as well
on an inferior station.
So he might be prepping for his thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's take the next one from the tip. You've got to pop out quick and take care of business.
I have indeed.
Let's play it from the top because you got to hear that first bit.
Robbie is Fiskin. Now, you may think you can fool the rest of this garage community, but I want you to know that you'll never be able to fool me. I know your game, and I'm on your case, Robbie San.
This is a heavyweight rhythm, trust me. Gotta send it out to everyone locked in. Rah. Craig V saying he loved the voicemails on the album. Funny stuff. Big shout to the UKG Spot crew as well. Old tight Andy, one up. Loving the selection this week. I didn't actually read it out, did I? Mrs. Jones came out, Riddler 9, 2007. Sorry, 2009, but then the Beats intro mix came out very later down the line, 2015, on Unreleased Volume 5. It was floating around before that though, of course. Got to send a big shout out to the UKG forum, big up you guys. Out to Slip Rock. Shout out to everyone getting involved. Out to Ridzi, laughing. If you want to get in touch at Impact UKG on Twitter, you can alternatively hit us up via the phone line. WhatsApp only though, people. And here is the number.
WhatsApp us on 07 888 94 1014.
Reaching out to Mr. MC Twilight. Got it locked in, saying sounding wicked. I think I need glasses. I think my eyes are going, man.
I'm glad it was wicked. I got a bit worried when you paused then.
It's a little bit far away, that screen. So, was this off the Hairy Cuts EP?
It was. Good knowledge.
Make sure I pronounce that properly.
It was. Yeah, it was. There was this. There was another bassline track, and then there was 2 Soulmaster tracks as well.
That was it, the Soul Masters. So, as we're talking Hairy Cuts, I've got a theory about you. Now, you, and this is one thing I've always thought about. I've never met you in person, but we've always spoke over the years through whatever means, probably email. Every time I've seen a picture of you, you've always got a different haircut. You're one of them guys, though, that like whatever haircut you just think, oh, he's had every haircut now, and then you see him with some other new style. So, what's the current style, Rob?
To keep it the current. Is
there
kind
a
of looks
style?
like a. I don't know if there is a style at the moment. It's just Mad Doctor. Do you know what, I've been getting
with the headphones.
Yeah. I've been getting a lot of comparisons to Jesus lately. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Jesus from The Walking Dead. I see it now. Yeah.
And also the other one I had that I did like was Christian Bale in The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh.
I'm going to take that because I'm a massive Batman fan. So
But is that why you called it a Hairy Cuts EP? Because you just always. You seem to whatever haircut you sport, it seems to suit you.
That's not where the Hairy Cuts thing came from. That was just following a conversation I had with Paleface. Funnily enough, we were talking about because it was when I was setting up. He was setting up Northern Line, and I was setting up Hairy Cuts, and we were kind of looking at Riddler, and I was going, I really like what he's done. What Don was doing with the different coloured vinyls. I said what I was thinking of doing was having, because obviously there was supposed to be a series of vinyls. Didn't happen. That was the plan. What I wanted to do was have a different haircut on each vinyl. I just thought, I don't know where that came from. Paleface just went, that's a sick idea. And I was just like, right.
Because you had the picture with like a little cartoon dude on it. Yeah,
which Alyssa's one of Alyssa's uncles actually designed for me. He's a dab hand with all the artwork. So he did me several. So I had one that was, I think the hairstyle on the original EP actually probably looks a little bit like what I'm sporting now. And there was an afro one, and there was one with the mohawk.
I remember the afro.
And
there was one called the Wolverine. But did that ever come out? Or was
there was one vinyl release, and then the rest was all digital because the vinyl release was around about that time when vinyl just dropped off.
So
and I got 500 pressed up of the original EP, and there was a story behind it. It was a botched pressing. And it was my bad because I should have spotted it, but we didn't realise until, and Kanga will remember this actually.
Yeah.
We took a batch down to him and they put it on in the shop, And I'd listen to the test press, and on the test press, to me, it just sounded like I had a bit of fluff on the needles. So I didn't think anything of it. Of course, they then got them all pressed up, and when Kanga put it on in UDM and played it on the speakers, it sounded terrible. It was just all distorting. And it turned out that some water had got on the needle during the cutting process, something to that effect. So we basically, I'd done all the promotion. I'd said to everyone, right, it's out today. It was at the MySpace days. So there was adverts on my MySpace, and I was like, yeah, it's out today. And then it wasn't out today. So, it was at a time when vinyl sales were bad anyway, and then I had that. We ended up with hundreds of them left over. So if you do have one of those vinyls, I would say keep it, because when I'm Calvin Harris's equivalent, it'll be worth a lot of money.
Yeah, well, maybe you can sign it or something.
Yes, I'm well willing.
You're listening to the show, we get it signed for you.
If you actually bought it, then I'm more than happy to sign it.
I'm trying to think. To be honest, I'm trying to think now. Did I get? Because there's only one. I'm trying to think if I actually did get it or not. Oh, it doesn't matter. I want to play one more off the Vinyl and Voicemail EP. Now, I first heard EZ play this, and I was like, rah! He's done a sequel. Robbie's done a sequel.
I've done a sequel? Which one are you talking about? I'm confused now. Go on, you've piqued my interest, mate. Hey! Do you know what?
Another tune that went under the radar. Hold on, let's let it play.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's alright with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be
So this was the sequel, unofficial sequel. It must have been.
Do you know what? At the time, I did Mrs. Jones, and I was so pleased with how it was received by DJs, at least, that I said to Dom, I'm going to do an EP. I'm going to do 4 of them. And I had a little list of tracks I was going to do this with, and big props to Duncan, because basically I'd just taken the idea from Duncan. It was all inspired by, he had a stereo hype release.
I know what you're going to say. Something wrong, was it called?
Something Wrong. And I heard that track, and there were elements about the track that I wasn't keen on, but like the vibe of it, I was just like, I love it. It was just, it was kind of that kind of, I don't want to say gimmicky, because it's not full on gimmicky, but it's kind of got that novelty factor. People are going to latch onto it because it's got that switch up, and I thought, I want to do. That's how I did Mrs. Jones, and then I did this quickly after, and then I had plans to do loads of others. And for some reason, I just kind of got sidetracked. I think because the bassline thing was kicking off, and I ended up spending a bit more time on that. I never kind of finished the EP, and that was why this one just sat on my hard drive for about 4 years. And then when I was putting Vinyl and Voicemails together, me and Brains were talking, and I was just like, "What about this?" And I played it to him, and he was just like, "Mate, get that on there."
Yeah,
I bet. You know what I mean?
I remember, like I say, I heard EZ play it on Kiss.
EZ loved it,
and
loved it.
That was where I first heard it. I was like, it's by Robbie. Oh my god, he's finally done like a kind of sequel. And I was, and then when this came out, like I bought this whole album just for this, really. The other tune on there that I wanted to play it today, like so many others, but I think we'll have to leave it, was where is it? It was a remix you'd done, and I was after D-Shut Every Time.
D-Shut Every Time, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant remix. If we get time at the end, I will try and slip that on among everything else.
Nice.
But that was one of the other reasons I wanted to get the album.
Yeah.
And obviously in there you had all these other like tunes as well that were all brilliant. So, but it was mainly for them two personally.
The Disha vocal was a pleasure to work with. Do you know what I mean? She's just got the voice of an angel, and the actual vibe of it. It's one of my favourites I've done as well, because it's kind of a bit of a genre blender. Do you know what I mean? It's not really bassline, it's not really 4/4. It kind of falls somewhere in between. I think that was what I liked, but I think that was maybe equally why it never came out, because it didn't fit into a category.
Was it Danny Dubs? He done a mix, and that came out on his label or some. I think I've got an official release. I was like, no, I want the Phonetix mix.
I think you're right. Because it was originally to do with Charmer. I think Charmer had signed it to, I want to say Streets.
And then Streets or the other one.
It would have been Streets or Stereo Hype, wouldn't it?
Probably Stereo Hype because it was an official thing, wasn't it?
Possibly. And then and Fiskin, kind of who you heard at the start of You Just Don't Get Me.
Robbie's Fiskin.
He later kind of took on the duties at Stereo Hype and Streets, and that was how I ended up doing my mix. He was just like, this needs the Robbie T treatment. Well, the Phonetix treatment, as it was.
And also, this album didn't serve. I assume its purpose was to kind of create Phonetix and say goodbye to Robbie T.
Yeah,
obviously clearly didn't work, but for me at least.
I'd been dormant for a little bit and I needed a kind of, to kick the door open again and go, hey, do you know what, I'm still here.
It was a transition.
It was a bit of a transition thing. And do you know what, it did kind of, I mean, obviously people still call me Robbie, that's fine by me, but it did kind of establish the Phonetix thing, because from there was, I'm trying to think, was that 2011, 2012? I think it was 2011.
I've got the date written down here amongst many notes.
I had a summer.
I think it's 2011. Yeah, 2011 it come out.
So many tracks, and I had so much remix work come in just off the back of that. I was busy, and that was a big thing for me at the time.
Yeah.
Can I just, whilst we got a little bit of silence, actually, I got to do another shout out to Robbie Glover, who's replied to your comment about my hair and said it's the Daniel style.
Oh, is that the official style?
It's unintentional, but I'll take his money. I'll definitely take his money, Daniel Bryan. You know what I mean? He's done all right for himself. Got to give a big shout out to Nikki Lynx listening in from New York as well.
That's all New York.
Distance. Yo, I was looking at my Spotify statistics the other day, as you do.
Yeah.
And my leading. Have you ever looked at Spotify statistics? If you get a Spotify for Artists account, it's really interesting because you get a breakdown of everything. And
I have got one, but
you should check it out, man. Logically, right? The top 3 cities where my stuff gets listened to is London, Birmingham, and Nottingham. Right?
Yeah.
That all fits. You'd go, yeah, I can see that because it's a London sound.
Yeah.
And Birmingham, kind of the niche thing.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's New York and Sydney.
Well, that's pretty good. So we got a few listeners to the show. Alex in New York, he's a long-time listener to the show.
Big up, Alex.
The Jewish Doctor, she listens from over there in New York. And then there's Philly and Philadelphia. Obviously, it's not New York, but there are people over in the stateside.
It's got a following. Yeah. Always kind of has a little. Do you know? I saw. I come across Jason Monday the other day on Instagram. He was putting out tracks with Charmer back in 2006.
Yeah.
No, just blast from the past.
Let's go back to 2013. So we've done the past of Riddler quite thoroughly, and of course at the time. And you took over. Obviously, Domino. I assume he just kind of wasn't doing it. So you kind of said, do you know what, I'm going to...
Yeah, basically.
Pass you the flame,
which
is Riddler Records, and you proceeded to do it in a digital format for 2013.
Dom emigrated. He went to Dubai, and there was nothing really happening with Riddler for a long while. And I kind of was doing my thing, just kind of putting out tracks here and there, doing remixes for people. And then I'm out with Duncan, and we got talking, and it just kind of started off as one of those ideas. It was like, wouldn't it be cool to, do something with Riddler again, and Jack and Dom would be all right.
Resurrect it.
Yeah, and we sat, and we ended up. What started off as just like a quick conversation ended up with us sitting there mapping out a little plan. And I said, you know what, I'll give Dom a shout.
Like Mr. Burns.
Excellent. I gave Dom a shout just to get his blessing, and he was just like, do you know what, I'm proud of you. You do what you want to do with it, like it's yours, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it all kind of kicked off from there, and as you can probably tell from looking at the discography over the kind of following year or two, put out so many tracks. I didn't realise how many tracks I kind of managed to get out there until you said to me, like, have you got any Percy's you want me to spin on the show? And I was just like, Jesus, there's loads.
You had about 10 releases, but then you also had a good 3 or 4 solo releases that weren't like like number 5, 6, 7, whatever.
That's right.
They were just kind of standalones.
They were singles, as it were, yeah.
I'll kick off with this one by Para, because I remember, let's just get into it.
Oh, mate.
Now, I had this a little earlier. I had it in 2011, and it was really nice to see it finally get a release.
Yeah.
Because Para had a lot of these tunes around them where he just didn't put them out. They were just DJ only.
It would have been a crying shame for this one to never see the light of day, wouldn't it? And it worked out well because it got a lot of exposure via that first Riddler EP.
I think he's locked in today, so
big up, Para.
This is taken from the first of the Riddler digital era, which kicked off again under Robbie or Phonetix.
Indeed.
Kind of Overwatch. don't know why I'm quoting the game there.
It's all good, mate.
You were looking after Riddler from this point, and this was on the first release. And there's a one from Duncan Powell I've got to squeeze in. No, we're not going to have time. All about the breakdown on this.
There are times when you need someone, I will be by your side. I take my chances before they pass me by. Hold on, there is a light that shines special for you and me. You need to look at the other side. You now let only
Absolutely brilliant. I'm just going to cut it short for time reasons, get into the next one, which was also off the same release. And I've got to hold my hands up on this. I hated this when I first heard it. And I'm ashamed to say that.
A few people said that to me.
I hate it, but now I love it.
Yeah.
I was doing a show. I did a kind of special guest show somewhere. And Woody from... Woody and Risky.
Yeah.
He played it in the set. And I was like, rah, I know this tune.
It's filthy. Do you know what I mean? If you play it in the right context.
Yeah, and now I absolutely adore it. But when I first heard it, I kind of, you know, put my nose up at it.
It's different.
Shamefully.
It's different. That's what it is.
Yeah. Anyway, this is off the same EP. It's Duncan Powell, Over the Top, or OTT. Number one. So again, taking off the same EP. Now we're going to move into one from Mark Bagan, Element Z. We actually had him as guests down on the show a few weeks back alongside Danny MRT. So let's get into their one, Should Have Known. And when I first heard this, is it this one?
No, this is the wrong track. This is the Final Cut Collective mix of Losing My Mind. There you go.
Wrong channel. So this was the Should Have Known remix by Mark Bagan, Element Z. One of their earlier pieces as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was certainly the first bit I heard from them. Absolutely loved it, even though it's got that classic, is it Grant Nelson?
Yeah, it's a bump and flex loop, I think, isn't it? Yeah. It's got the whole vibe of it. It's got that kind of old school sort of tone to it. That's what made it work, I think.
It really
it's
works.
Throwback.
I just love the drop. That vocal is so powerful.
Yeah.
Brilliant track. I just want to fire through a couple of these before we
do it.
Move
I'm all
on
for it, man.
Here we go. Here's the drop. It's when that bass line comes in.
Yeah, it's that classic M1 organ, but whatever they've done to it, they've just fattened up the low end.
I don't know what I've done. I think I broke it for some reason. Let's just get into the next one. So this is the remix of one of your tracks.
That's right. This was Phonetix featuring Harsh, Losing My Mind. This is the Final Cut Collective remix.
And this was a standalone, like we were saying before.
This was a single. Yeah, it was a single with, I think, 4 or 5 remixes. This was one of them.
I remember there being a few. Yeah.
I did the others myself. So there was a drum and bass version, like a deep house version, a speed garage one. Speed garage one got a lot of
yeah, I did favour the speed garage. It had like an organ in it. Is that right?
It did add an organ, and then it went into that kind of warpy Hoover bass as well. So it covered all the bases.
It's a great vocal though. Let's give it a spin. Let's let it spin.
Big up Harsh.
Not that you sung it. Harsh on vocal and MC Cobra in this one. Final Cut Collective mix. Shout to Stuart Kendridge.
Sorry?
Stuart Kendridge.
You asking me who Final Cut Collective is?
No, I'm saying shout to him.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know who they are.
Secret things. Plodded along with it, 2013,
And then into 2016 was the last release from Riddler Records as it was then.
Yeah, that's correct.
But then, why was this? What happened?
So family issues basically took me out of the game for a while. There was a lot of stuff going on. Won't get into it. You know, life kind of throws things at you. And then my daughter ended up being diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. I'm going to say that for you. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. So my daughter got diagnosed with leukemia. And obviously that kind of sidelined me somewhat from music because my focus was elsewhere. You know.
And how old was your daughter at this point?
She was 3. Just
3 years old.
Just turned 3 at the time. And like when I look back on it, she wasn't right for a while. Do you know what I mean? But like, you don't necessarily.
You're not a doctor, are you?
You're not a doctor, and we'd been to the doctor several times, and I would urge anybody who does have kids who goes to the doctor and is worried about the kid, maybe thinks the doctor isn't giving them the treatment they should, push. Do you know what I mean? Because I wish in hindsight we'd pushed a little harder because it went on for probably longer than it should have, and she looked, you know, really ill by the time we took her down A&E. That's how bad it got. I got a call from her mum one morning. I was at work, and she was just like, "I'm down A&E with Alyssa." And A&E were obviously...
So A&E, you got to the point of A&E...
Yeah, they were much sharper than the GP because they took one look at her and they went, yeah, there's something wrong here. And by the time I drove over straight from work, got there, she was hooked up to all manner of machines and that. And they'd taken blood and they took us into a room and they were just like, look, is
what did they say?
The second a doctor,
how did it feel when they told you?
Well, the second a doctor comes into a room and takes you away from your kid to have a chat, you know something bad's going down. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I, in the back of my mind, I think I'd been in denial. I knew before they'd sat us down. I knew it was cancer of some kind. Do you know what I mean? Because she was so pale at that point, so tired and lethargic all the time. You could just tell there was something not right.
Just for those of the listeners who don't know what leukemia is.
So it's basically
summarise it, or this form of leukemia.
In short, I suppose you'd say it's blood cancer. So it's a problem. It's a problem with the way that the blood cells develop. Something goes wrong. They don't know why it is. They don't know what causes it. But it can just do all sorts of things to the body.
So obviously, like, is it the red blood cell takes oxygen around the body?
Yeah, and I mean, by the time we got...
stops it all working, basically.
Yeah, basically, by the time we got Alyssa to the hospital, she had such a lack of red blood cells that they had to do a transfusion because if they hook you up to a machine, your oxygen level should be...
Did you spike your vein, or...
Did I what, sorry?
Did you spike your vein for that?
What, to give them my blood?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I gladly would have done, but it doesn't work like that.
Because you have different types of blood and all that.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, luckily, they were very, very... The NHS is quite well equipped when it comes to treating cancers and that kind of thing because it's so common. So they were geared up. They did it, that evening.
Did you end up in Great Ormond Street? Or?
We started off, so we went to our local, which is St Peter's in Chertsey, just down the road from Staines. And from there, they kept her in overnight, obviously, to just kind of get the ball rolling. The next day, they ferried us up to St George's in Tooting because she had to have an operation done. What they do with kids, rather than keep putting cannulas in and needles in their arms and stuff, it's just kinder to kind of do a surgery. They implant. There's a couple of different options that they can use. They can use a Hickman line, or in Alyssa's case, they put a portacath in. It's a little circular disc, goes under the skin, and it's got a metal tube that goes into one of the main arteries in the neck.
Right.
So she's got this sort of lump here, and basically any time they need to access her, they just put the needle in there.
Yeah,
and it's much kinder because they can put numbing gel in it. She doesn't really feel it so much. She still doesn't like it, obviously. Who would?
But makes life easier for everyone.
It's much easier, yeah. So that was the first thing they did at St George's. Kept her there overnight and then shipped her over to the Royal Marsden, just down the road actually, over in Sutton. And we were in there for a couple of weeks, and that was horrendous because obviously to start off with, they have to hit the cancer really hard.
Yeah.
So she was on high doses of everything. And bless her, she's a little trooper. She's stoic and she's jovial, and it's a good job because if she wasn't, it would make it, infinitely harder to deal with.
I can't imagine how horrible that must be,
mate,
for you as a parent.
Do you know what? It's your worst nightmare, isn't it? Because
it's not even like it's something out of your control. It's your little girl.
Hit the nail on the head there with the word control. Do you know what I mean? Because you as a father or as a mother even, what you want to do is protect you. You want to look after your kid, keep them safe.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with something like cancer or leukemia. Do you know what I mean? So to stand by and effectively all you can do is watch. And I'd be lying if I said that it didn't really take me out of the game. It really messed with my head.
I'm sure.
Would,
so
you know what I mean?
Obviously Riddler had to go on
Riddler
hold.
fell by the wayside. Music fell by the wayside. I barely booted up my studio PC for about 2 years.
It's been 2.5 years since she was diagnosed.
2.5 years,
and now you've got back on the music, and your project is basically for her.
It is. You know, I was sitting there one day, and I was, you know, it's very easy to kind of find yourself kind of mulling over things and feeling sorry for yourself. And I was just going, I can't go on like this. Like I got to do something. And I was like, what can I do? Well, I thought, well, what I can do is I can make music. I know I can make music, and I can do that, all right? But maybe I can monetize that with a view to doing something special for Alyssa when she's in remission. So that's the driving force behind everything I'm doing. All the singles over the past half year, everything is to take Alyssa away somewhere at the end of her treatment, be that Disneyland or whatever she chooses. I don't know where we might end up. So anything you've been hearing from me is thanks.
Well, like recently we've had the Hiding in Plain Sight. We've had the Ota Otis tune.
Yeah.
You've had the
Blue Step
as well, which is great, by the way.
Thank you.
And many more.
Yeah.
And the project is basically, I mean, you've got a few of them out available on Spotify now.
That's right, yeah.
But your ultimate goal is to release like kind of a complete album next year.
Yeah, probably spring next year. I mean, originally I did go, right, I'm just going to record an album, and then upon reflection decided that actually it might be wiser to do a string of singles because, as you said before, you rightly said, there's so many tracks around, the shelf life of a track is quite short, so if you put an album out all in one hit, it's kind of dead within a few weeks. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to announce that I was back to kind of drum up a bit of support before I get it out there. So I thought I'd do a few singles, and it has the added effect of, do you know what I mean, those tracks have a little bit more of a lifespan, and then at the end of it, so I'm thinking February, March time perhaps, I should have a finished product that I can kind of come with a full album's worth of stuff and drop that.
So the album's going to be called Hiding in Plain Sight.
That's correct.
Which is the track we're going to play next. Now this, let's just play it because it's emotional. Of course, you've heard this one on the show for many weeks now. The track is called Hiding in Plain Sight, and it's the starting block for the album of what will be the same name. Let's just let it play a minute. Definitely captured the emotion of the time, hasn't it, Rob?
I think it has. Yeah, I mean, as I said, it was a moment where I just kind of I had an epiphany and was just like, I got to do this. Do you know what I mean? I got home from the hospital one day, and we'd had a bit of a rough time. Yeah, you know, as is the case. And I was quite teary, and I sat down on my keyboards, and that was just what came out. And I just felt like it's got to be the title track for the album because it encapsulates the emotion quite well. I think, you know. And in terms of the title of it, Hiding in Plain Sight, I showed it to a couple of people who kind of were sort of said it sounded a lot like MJ, and they didn't know that I was kind of capable of doing that.
Even the boss thought it.
He thought it was MJ, yeah, exactly. And I was kind of like, well, I've always been here. I've always been capable of doing that. You just haven't heard it. So that's hence, Hiding in Plain Sight. I've been here. but I've been able to do this. So we got talking about a concept for the album with my manager over here, who also doubles up as my partner, and we were thinking, what I will do for the album, what essentially is the plan, and you may have noticed with the singles, is every single sounds completely different. So I'm basically trying to cover as many bases as I can.
It's the old Riddler tactics, isn't it?
It is kind of the old Riddler tactics. It's also a case of me just wanting to show that I can be versatile. Yeah. Because, I kind of rate my skills as a producer. I wouldn't have carried on doing it if I didn't. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
And I kind of want to show off what I can do.
But also, at the same time, the goal is you want to take Alyssa for
ultimately, that's the driving,
like an adventure.
That's the driving force behind all of it, because I'd sacked it off. Honestly, there was a point where, we were in hospital. I didn't think I thought, it's a life changer for a start. Your priorities change. I didn't think I had time for music anymore. I was done with it, and then it's the only thing I can do. It's only you've got to find a way in these situations. You've got to turn a negative into a positive. That was my way of doing it. It was the only thing I could do. And I feel the quality of the music reflects that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I've been delivering lately, and
definitely.
hopefully that reflects in whatever contributions we get. Basically, 100% of everything that Riddler Records generates at the moment, every single, include, I know you've obviously been plugging the Christmas single. All of these singles, anything that generates goes straight into the crowdfunding page.
So you set up a crowdfunding page for.
I have indeed.
What you like to call adventure.
So it's justgiving.com/crowdfunding.
I'm going to tweet it.
You're going to tweet it?
Yeah, I'm going to tweet it in a minute. And you can
cool.
have a look as pictures of you and all sorts.
Yeah.
Hello, young lady. Are you going to talk? Are you going to join us on the microphone today?
Hi.
Hello. How are you? You gone shy? So what's your name?
Alyssa.
And how old are you, Alyssa?
5.
5 years old, yeah? And you and Daddy have to visit the hospital a lot, yeah?
Yeah.
You been there this week?
Yeah, we went on Thursday, didn't we?
Yeah. Lumber venture.
Is it scary in there, or are the people nice?
They're nice.
They're nice, yeah? And what's this about your wiggle? It's coming out soon, Daddy was telling me.
Yeah.
Are you looking forward to that, yeah?
Yeah.
That's good.
What's going to happen with your Wiggly when they take it out? What are you going to do with it?
You're going to keep it in a jar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not, indeed? So this next track is something you showed me the video of on YouTube. It's as a private link.
Yeah, the video is not public yet. There's a video ready for it. You've seen it, obviously, Mr. Impact. It's a bit of a tearjerker.
Yeah, I'm getting the tissues out on standby. We're going to just play this next one and let it spin for a minute. And again, showing your versatility is drum and bass. Or jungle. Track entitled Spirit, and you may recognise the sample. You say you like this one, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Are you dancing to it? You've been dancing to it? Do you like all of Daddy's music? Really?
Yeah.
How much did he pay you to say that? This one entitled Spirit. Check the sample.
Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done.
Whoops, wrong button. So luckily for you, Alyssa, Flex FM have spoken to Santa and we brought you down a little present, little early, little pre-present. Do you want to open it? Go on then. Ooh.
Exciting. Check it out.
She don't know what it is.
See what it is? It's a torch that clips onto your head. So if you go out in the dark, you can wear that on dog walks.
For the listeners who can't see, it's a like a little torch that goes on your head, but it's in the shape of a monkey, little monkey eyes. The missus picked it out for me earlier.
She got good taste. Good taste.
And what have you been drawing?
We've got you a present.
You got me a present? What you got me? What's that? Oh, you got me two presents. Oh, you got me a t-shirt, a Riddler Records t-shirt.
Absolutely.
That is brilliant. I'm going to wear that with pride. I'm going to put it on in a minute. Thank you very much. And you also did a drawing of Flex FM upstairs. Very good.
That's very impressive.
Where's the camera there to see if they can see it? So she's been drawing while she's been waiting to join us on the show. Okay, so you set up the crowdfunding page and that's available now. I'm going to tweet it in literally a moment. Mm-hmm. Now, Santa is a good friend of mine. And guess what, Alyssa? We got another friend in common, Uncle Para. And he has made you a song. Especially for you, a little Christmas song. And I know your daddy likes Christmas songs. But Uncle Para, she knows Uncle Para, doesn't she?
You haven't met Para? You haven't met him yet? He's a good guy.
Anyway, he's knocked you up a special little track for your adventure next year, which we're all getting behind. So let's get into it.
Should we hear it?
I haven't even known this myself, so
it's absolutely sick.
Out to Tony.
Big up, Tony.
Presents and cards are here. My world is 50 years to you. These Christmas and as I look around, your eyes shine down. This Christmas, my side is blazing bright.
Liking her torch. You liking
choice,
it,
mate.
Lisa?
Good choice.
You need a sword to open it though. They're very well sealed these things nowadays, aren't they? Right, we're gonna have time for one more. Then you got Jess Bays up after the ads, ladies. Take you through till 6 o'clock. Big shouts out to Para. Now, if you want to grab this tune, Para's literally put it up on the Woo. And you can go and download it now for absolutely free for a limited time. I've just tweeted the link, so all the DJs out there locked on, you want to grab this little Para Christmas special in aid of Alicia's charity, the crowdfunding page. So if you want to donate, do donate, please. And I think we've got time for one more. So what do you want, Rob? Do you want the Christmas tune or do you want the Final Cut collective tune?
Oh, choices.
The Blue Step remix.
What do we want? I think we ought to let Alyssa choose.
What do you want, Alyssa?
Do you want to hear the Christmas song or do you want to hear the one with the saxophone in it? The saxophone.
You want the saxophone?
Is that
okay, let's do it. So this is actually hot off the press.
This is this is an Impact exclusive right here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So it's the Blue Step track, but it's the Final Cut Collective remix.
That is correct, yeah.
All right, let's get into it. And before the clock finishes, we've only got a few minutes. I've got to say thanks for coming down, Rob.
No, mate, thank you.
Thank you, Laura, as well, for joining us. And, of course, little Alyssa. It's been great to meet you.
It's been our pleasure, Dave.
It's been in a different show. It's something different for me as well. So, in this beast of a studio. This is the Blue Step track, as you may have heard on the show. This is the remix, Final Cut Collective, and we've got a minute left. Big shouts to Para, out to everyone who's been locked.